Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Paul Skillen's my name. I'm the Manager of Business and Innovation for the Sunshine Coast Council. Welcome to our first suppliers briefing for 2019-20. This is the first of two that we have and the more major of the two. It coincides with the passing of Council's budget for the 2019-2020 year and serves as a vehicle for us to be able to take some of those high-level figures that come out of a budget and start to reduce them down to indicate to the community what it is, and business, what it is that Council's intent on delivering, and also start to outline how we intend on delivering it. It must be said that that delivery can't be achieved without the likes of many of you in this room contributing to it, bringing your skills and abilities to the work that Council needs to be done in order to assist us in providing the services to the community that we're responsible for. I won't go on for too long because you get to hear from me later. There's an agenda there and a number of speakers from Council, and also we've got some other partners and friends from other areas outside of Council presenting today for the first time. But I will start off by inviting the Portfolio Councillor for Economic Development and Innovation, that's Councillor Steve Robinson, to the stage to have an introduction and outline to you what else will occur during the course of the day. Thanks very much, Steve.
G'day everybody, how's it all going? Can I just ask, for those in the room who either haven't picked one of these up or seen it, this is the Sunshine Coast Major Projects leaflet. Show of hands, who's either seen this or has picked one up recently? Shame on you, the rest of you. I'll talk about this later, but a very important document in the grand scheme of things. Firstly, if I could acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Kabi people of the coastal plains and northern hinterland, and the Jinnaburra people of the southern hinterland. And I'd also like to pay my respect to elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, traditions, the culture and hopes of all Indigenous people. If I could also acknowledge Paul Skillen, who just introduced me as the Manager of Business and Innovation, very important person in this room, and also Council staff from a range of Council services. So they're all positioned, these handsome ladies and gentlemen, all positioned in the back of the room to answer any questions you may have after the presentations. We have Mr. Leon van Niekerk from the Australian Industry Trade College, who'll be speaking a little later on. Welcome, Leon. And also welcome to all of the listeners who are accessing this workshop via live streaming. So if my mum and dad are out there listening, g'day mum and dad, but no, they're not, I know. To get stuck into the presentation. So this is the second briefing for 2019, so some of you may have... actually, that would be also handy. Who came along to the first supplies briefing? Yeah, maybe sort of 10 or 15%. So it's great to see some new faces here, so thank you very much for coming along. These sorts of events are such an important part of the economy here on the Sunshine Coast and your contribution to it. And this is a great opportunity for local businesses to hear what programs and projects are underway to identify those opportunities for you to connect to. It really would be difficult to overstate the importance of your businesses to this region. And obviously it's one of the reasons that I put my hand up for the Economic Development Portfolio when I was in Council with my previous role as Regional Manager of Master Builders. So it's you people who are investing in your own money, taking risks, creating opportunities and giving people employment opportunities. And it's your employees and yourselves that spend locally buying the houses, the cars, the clothes, the groceries and paying those darn electricity bills. So it gives me great pleasure to stand here this morning and recognise your contribution and achievements, and I'm proud to say that Council is working with you and will continue to do so to get the best results for this region. Now, hopefully most of you realise that in recent years we've had a fairly decent sustained period of success and progress on the Sunshine Coast, and business confidence, generally speaking, is quite high. Our unemployment rates are low, below the state average, and we're experiencing a steady increase in our residents' household income. So back in the day, we were about 22% below the state average, and we're now, I think, less than 10%. So while we've still got a way to go, we're on the way. In the last financial year, 18-19, we approved $1.6 billion worth of new building approvals in this region. And figures are soon to be released to indicate a 32% increase in council and non-council subdivision lots approved, from 2004 to 2,649 new lots. So a pretty substantial increase. So from that, it's important for you to develop your supply chain relationships and your tendering capabilities, because there's going to be a fair bit coming out of the ground in the next few years. Just to give you a further idea, we've significantly increased our gross regional product for this region, growing from a $13 billion economy in 2013 to now an $18.5 billion economy. So hopefully you can see that things are growing quite well and are nicely on track. Council also has a business confidence survey, and for the past 10 years we've been conducting it. In 2018 we had over 500 businesses across the region participate, and if I could encourage you to have a look at that opportunity and maybe continue to participate, or if you haven't done so, please do so. 83% of the Sunshine Coast business people in that survey stated that they expected their business to perform the same or be stronger over the next 6 months. And this is a great reflection on the positive business outlook here on the coast. The Business Confidence Survey provides us with some great insights, so again, ask that you engage in it when it's launched later this year. And these are just some of the outcomes since the launch of the Sunshine Coast Regional Economic Development Strategy, which was done in 2013, which provides us with a strong focus on the economy and jobs growth, particularly in those 7 high-value industries, aviation, education, research, etc. I just want to throw a few statistics at you to give you a little bit of an idea of why Council is trying to, well, not trying, is on the front foot in terms of helping drive the economy. So in our latest budget, Council committed a further $14.4 million for the International Broadband Submarine Cable Network, which is on track to be completed by mid-2020, and is forecast to deliver up to 864 new jobs and stimulate $927 million of new investment in Queensland. We committed a further $105 million to continue the Sunshine Coast Airport expansion project, which is on track for completion in 2020, as long as the rain stops, please. And we've had a good week, so that's good. And that is forecast to create 2,230 new full-time direct and indirect jobs by 2040. We're spending another $16.6 million for the Ramuchi City Centre. Most of you probably have an awareness of that project. And that's going to be instrumental in building and strengthening the region, providing a mix of residential, commercial, civic and community uses. We're talking about a project over the next 20 years that's going to contribute $4.4 billion to this region and create 9,000 jobs. So a very substantial project for this region. All of these major projects that have been driven largely by Council are all there to put the Sunshine Coast on the map and bring further investment around the globe, and also hopefully expand the capabilities of our local businesses. So in closing, look, a successful region is dependent upon a successful local economy. Our council is committed to building our economy and helping small businesses succeed. For the 2018-19 financial year, our total procurement spend was $341 million, and we have that a local preference policy, and a massive 71.5% of that equates to $244 million, which has been spent by local businesses. So not a bad, tidy sum. Our local preference guidelines is a key indicator of the importance we play on supporting our businesses. So please take advantage of today's forum, ask questions, make sure you understand how to fill in the local business section of the procurement process. But please don't just focus on today's session, stay informed, subscribe to our business newsletter, participate in our range of workshops, join a local chamber or business group, and ask questions and build relationships. It's just so important to everyone, council, the industry and business community, that we're working together to create the right conditions for confidence and investment. So thanks to everybody in the business community whose continued dedication, drive and innovation helps those to create a healthy, smart and creative region. And we as a council, we're very proud of you all and appreciate your contribution to the growing prosperity of the region. So please enjoy the rest of the supplies briefing and have a great day. Cheers.
Thank you, Councillor Steve. We'll move on. Health and safety is central to Council's existence. We believe it will be central to most of your existence as well. So we can't have one of these briefings without articulating what it is the Council does in terms of safety, nor what we would be wanting you and your staff to do when conducting any type of contract for us. I tell you those two things because there's no contract in the time that I've been here, and I'm sure beforehand, that's been procured that hasn't had some reference, no matter how small, to how you would articulate and conduct yourself with your health and safety components of any contract that you would perform for council. So to bridge the gap and explain what it is that we're doing and ask you to come along that ride with us, I'd like to invite Mark Stafford from our health and safety team up to have a chat with you. I'll also revisit it when we're talking about actually tendering and requesting quotes later on in the event. Thanks very much, Mark.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the forum. I've attended a few of these myself, and I found that my observation today is that there's some new people here that I've not seen. But if I go back a little bit, my role within the health and safety team is around the construction management, which looks after our internal teams, and our team currently is also supporting quite heavily the project delivery team, which is the major projects or the larger capital spending part of their business. So today I'd like to talk about contract health and safety management systems and what we go through as a team, and working with procurement and contracts around how we establish that. Thanks. So what I'd like to start with is just helping you understand how we prepare, how we manage, monitor and then review and share learnings as we go forward. So we take a team approach, so council's council and you guys the contractors or suppliers, but we'd like to have a one team ethos around that success. So remembering that your success is our success, subject matter experts like yourselves work aligned with us as we go forward in our journey. So for most contracts that we have in place, we have a work health and safety specification and expectations, which are issued at the tender period for projects. Once all those tenders are in and you've made your submissions, we'll have a pre-engagement assessment of those submissions, where we get a chance to review what you've sent in to us, and also there's some questions back and forth that you may have for us also. And these are conducted at the closure of the submission period. Naturally, when that's reviewed and the successful contractor is awarded, we'll have a pre-start process, which is generally done in a meeting forum or on-site forum, depending on the project. It'll have certain specifics around what we are tailored to that scope, and it's involving all the stakeholders amongst the council and your own businesses as well. So that could mean your supervisor, directors, could be branch managers, could be our own team. We have subject matter experts within our team that are aligning with certain skill sets. So I think all the advisors generally have a line where they are strong, and as a team, which we're considering ourselves a very big part of this, is we'll align that with that. Our standards that are awarded to the contractor themselves and all of our systems. So naturally, council's got a fairly big system from a safety management point of view, but it's also very much complemented by the contractors' systems as well. So we'd like to, at that period, to try to align that so that we can all go down the road holding hands, if you like, and hopefully have a nice successful outcome in that journey. So if I can just pretend that we've awarded a contract, and then we need to understand how we're going to manage that safety portion of that contract. So part of that, I guess, is understanding what your system is and how we're going to go about understanding the monitoring of that system. Now, in my experience, I've probably never seen a very bad safety system. They're all there. The risk we've got going forward is that we need to align it. We need to make sure that it's being implemented as we've said we're going to do. So it's pretty standard, I think, across that. It wouldn't be the first time you've heard that. So so I'm going to go into, part of our process is to monitor that system, and we do that in several ways. So we capture it via project meetings, contract meetings, toolbox talks and pre-starts. And then once we have that good understanding of that system, we can try and create a communication process where we share that internally and externally moving forward. So workplace inspections. So what is a workplace inspection? So it's an inspection carried out on the work site in conjunction with the contractors, and it helps us understand and perform an effective health and part of that system. Why do we carry it out? So it's an opportunity to consult with our contractors and ourselves, our leaders as well, on safety matters at the coal face. It helps improve safety performance by identifying opportunities, and it's also a legislation requirement. But if I just take the opportunity piece at the moment, so if we talk about opportunities, sometimes that can be seen as a negative. However, we take the view in our team and in council that, look, it's an opportunity for improvement. And if we don't keep finding opportunities for improvement, we're not going to improve. So I feel that we need to be very clear on that part. I've got a personal thought, and it's a team thought as we go forward as well, that we'd like to coach and not criticise. So we're not here to, the big-handed person around the safety piece at the moment, it's gone nowadays. It's really about coaching you. It's about you coaching us, helping us learn as a business. So we're a big function. We've got a lot of opportunities, we've got a lot of scope, a lot of diversity, and a lot of innovations coming our way, with so many new things coming into council, being built. We need your help as well. So I think that's the way forward for us. So typically, we have a wide range of people who in our business that will help with these inspections. So they're from the workers at the coal face. I mean, they're the doers, they're the subject matter experts. We have our project managers, which are overseeing the business's execution of work. We have certain business elements that has inspectors that come along and do that. So they're vital as far as the safety portion goes in our business. Our management team, our branch managers, very proactive. So not only the people you may deal with day to day on an execution basis, but you'll also see my boss, my coordinator, my branch manager, and even councillors even attend site, which is great. So they take a real involvement at the end of the day as well. So we're always open to who can come on sites and et cetera, et cetera. The contractors, very, very big important part. So if it's all right for us to have the oversight process and come along and inspect the site or the work that you're doing. But what we really, really want is you guys to help us give some transparency to your own system. So you have a safety management system, which we've concurred to, and then we understand how you're going to monitor that too. And I think that's a fairly new initiative, and I think we're going to sort of focus on that a lot going forward. So your own systems and how you do things is very, very important to us. It helps us understand too. If we get a learning from you, so you operate plant or a crane or some sort of plumbing service, fitting, electrical service, we'd like to understand what that is as well. So that may well help us going forward. And like I say, it's a significant interest to us at the moment and going forward, and we'd like to keep that going. So what do we expect during a workplace inspection? So it's unique based on our scope. So not all the oversight processes are standard. They can be to have some diversity. We have some, because of the great diversity, we need to have quite a flexible range on that. We try and do it always with the contractor representative where it's possible. So do it as a team environment. So prior to that, we're always reporting to your site. We're not going to rock up and not make that known to you. At times we have to when we respond, but most of the time we'll try and make it a planned event. We'll do exactly what you want us to do as well. So you will induct us into your site, let us know what your rules are, let us know all that, which is what we would ask you to do at the start as well. And we'd like to attend potentially some pre-start meetings, some daily assessments, your toolbox talks, and really hear from your people as well as your management. And then, like I said before, areas of opportunity may well come across. So new eyes is very important in a safety view. So anyone coming onto our sites as well, we'd like to, it's very common that you guys will feed into us where we can improve as well. So I think it's a journey we're all on, and I think it's very important going forward. So I guess some of that alludes, when I say specs and I say expectations and all that sort of stuff, that can allude to bigger projects and stuff like that. But I've noticed here today there's some smaller contractor suppliers here today. So we'll also expect from a wet hire point of view, which is where we have plant and operator supplied to us to do specialised work. We'd also expect the legislative requirements to be in place, which is safe work method statements effective and nominated for our sites. We've got qualified operators, VOCs, verification of competencies, all your tickets and blue cards for construction areas, logbooks and plant and equipment to be maintained and understood at all times on a daily level, safety management plans to be developed, tailored to methodology and scope, how you report to us and your investigation process and learnings and how you roll them out moving forward. We'd expect that to be very present, and your resourcing levels are adequate. So they're pretty key functions at entry level, and then that should be reflected in major stuff as well. So what do we do with all this? So we've got all this great information coming forward. We've got your information, we've got our oversight. Where do we capture it and what do we do with it? So we've got a system called Scintillate. It's our form of how we capture auditing, our inspections. So we've probably got 30 nominated, I would say, fields of expertise or oversight. So it could be from safe work method statement, subcontractor management, asbestos management, to name a few. We have an auditing tool against that. So the standards, whether it be legislation or our own requirements, are captured in that. And then we collate it. So all this data goes in, and it's very important to understand that data, you get bad data in, you get bad data out. So what we're trying to do is trying to get all these separate eyes, get all this inspection collated into something we can use tangibly and meaningfully, meaning that some data comes out, we get some trending going on, etc., etc. But we also capture it, and then anything noteworthy or something that's applicable to all of you and of all of us, or any learning across the industry and across other councils, in fact, we'll collate in this type of format called a safety alert. So recently we've, one of our biggest, findings in recent times is underground services, and we've had some incidents around that where we've made contact with that. We've done our due diligence in that fact, actually. You know, you do your dials, you do your potholing, you do your excavations, etc. And as we go forward, we've put a few things together over the last 6 to 12 months. We've had some good learnings out of that. So we put this together. So I guess traditionally over the last few years, we've probably only done that internally. But in recent times, and our teams identified the need to not only just do that internally for our own guys, but for all contractors coming into council as well. So this is a recent example of where we've put it all together. and we've sent it out via our business development teams and contracts and procurement, and shared it externally as well. So we'd ask you to do the same thing. So with safety, I don't think there's not a business function attached to it. It's really just best practice for everybody. We all want to go home safe in one piece, and we want to execute our work without having incidents moving forward. So it's very important for us, and I think you'll find all your branch managers and the people you deal with from contract administration, etc., moving forward, would be happy to receive something we could maybe collate together and share. So that's really, really important, I think, going forward. The business is growing at a pretty exceptional rate, and there's so much good information out there. We just want to be able to share it. So I guess that's the high-level overview of what we'll expect from council from a safety point of view. I'd ask you to just do a couple of things. I'd ask you to help us on our coaching, not criticising way forward. We're going to help you. Your success is our success, like I've suggested. And like all businesses, we're on a journey, or large functions similar to council. So we want to keep that going. So I guess on behalf of our health and safety team and council in general, I'd certainly ask you to ask questions if you don't know, communicate with us openly. We'll do the same with you, and share some of the value going forward so we can all go on a nice, safe journey and our experiences with you and council. Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Mark. The next presentation we'll move on to is from Ben McGovern. Ben's currently the acting manager of the project delivery team. The project delivery team is responsible for the delivery of one of our largest parts of council's delivery process. That's our infrastructure and our capital works. I'll hand it over to Ben.
Thanks, Paul. Welcome, everybody. As Paul said, I'm acting in the role while our branch manager, Chris Sturgis, is on a well-earned break. So a couple of key drivers for project delivery, why we like to present at this forum is it's a good chance to get to know you all. That's really what we're here to do, for us to know you, and hopefully get an understanding of how we like to do business, and share foster those relationships for the long term. I'll take you through a couple of contract opportunities, some of our projects, just get a taste of what's on the agenda for this year, and a couple of sort of tips and things to look for in how to secure those opportunities. And as Mark's taken us through on behalf of corporate safety with council, project delivery, we're on a safety journey ourselves, so I'll take you guys through it's an area that's really moving fast in our branch. We've thrown a lot of resources at it. It's now part of our deliveries and KPIs, etc. So I'll finish on safety. So project delivery, who are we? We're essentially a project management body within council, and as Paul mentioned, we do deliver a large section of the capital works program. So when we talk capital works, there's three ways I like to look at it. There's the total capital works, and that's in the vicinity of 320 odd million. And as Councillor Steve touched on earlier, that's inclusive of those big region-making projects, so your airport, new city centre, submarine cable, etc. So that table down the bottom right there totals about 190 million. That's what we refer to as our core capital works program. So in there we've got, there's some big ticket items like strategic land and things, but civil asset management, we've got our 20 odd million in reseal and rehab programs. That's all inclusive of that. So out of that 190 million, project delivery does have the lion's share of it. So we're looking down the barrel this year of about 120 million. So that top right chart there, it wouldn't be a project delivery preso without charts and numbers. That's where we live and breathe. But so 120 million this year is our biggest year to date. We've been hovering, year just gone, sort of around the 110. So there does tend to be a sort of a trend showing there that we're getting bigger each year. I guess it's not surprising considering the growth and things that are happening on the coast. So project delivery, we have 3 delivery teams. So we've got, there's the recreational team, and Peter Osborne joins me here today. Pete leads the rec team, and I think you can. The rec team is, for all intents and purposes, open space, amenities. I'll take you through some of Pete's projects later. We've got the urban project team. Now that's headed up by Matt Dagan. Matt couldn't join us today, but I'll take you through some of Matt's projects as well. And then the civil projects team, and that's the one I normally head up. So we've got a broad range of clients, obviously. So I think the rec team predominantly deliver for parks and gardens. They are a really big client for Pete. Matt's team and the urban team, buildings and facilities and waste are his biggest clients. And the civil team, there's probably no surprises, there's transport and stormwater are our biggest clients. I thought this one's interesting to show you guys our purchase orders. So when I talk tens of millions, it's big dollars, but that chart there on the left, you can see just the vast majority of our business is in that sub 250k area. So I think it's important to show that today because it highlights that we deliver a lot, but I think when you're talking those values, I'm hoping that really does get distributed to all across the room. There's definitely an opportunity for all of us there today in that range. So civil projects, we've just put a couple up there for today, and Pete and I are over there after the forum for, we're welcome to come over, guys. We've got printouts of the entire Capital Works program, so if you've heard about a project, you're interested in anything particular, we can hopefully find it there for you and take you through. But as I said earlier, the civil team, transport and stormwater, they're our biggest clients. That second line item there down, that's a whole of region. We have these whole of region buckets, if you like. They're a reoccurring funding source yearly, typically. And this year we'll aim to package a few of those up. So they can be quite small projects, but we'll try and package some of those up. Some of those could be the stormwater relining. We've got loads of bus stop upgrades happening, stormwater rehab, as a few examples. It's probably important to note, though, that the civil team, whilst we deliver 50-odd million a year, about 50% of that is we utilise our civil asset management internal day labour force for that. So they've got about 7 construction crews, really strong in that civil area. So they do deliver quite a portion of works for us. So moving on to the rec team with Pete, as I said, open space, amenities. I think what's interesting with Pete's team is the diversity of the projects. It's your beach accesses, it can be anything right down to a bench seat, right up to a stadium, AFL field, netball courts. If it's open space, if it's recreational sport related, Pete will be delivering those. As I said, we're over there later, guys, to come and get more information about these projects. We've got the urban team. So Matt Dagan, Matt typically outsources majority of his work. It is a specialised area, a lot of mechanical and electrical. So if you're a mech-elec related here today, we've got some info and business cards for Matt there, but that's that building and facilities area, and waste is where his client's base is. So some of the services, this is a breakdown of just who we utilise internally and externally. I'll pull out all the external, 100% external outsourcing that we do. So the geotechnical, there's environmental surveys and audits, structural design, lighting and traffic signal design, the landscape construction and the lighting and traffic signals work. 100% outsourced. The rest is a shared bag between internal and external. And I touched on that civil construction line item there. That's an example of where our civil asset management day labour force would deliver, that $25 million a year for us in that space. So we've got, in project delivery, we manage 3 suppliers arrangements or panel arrangements, if you like. Pete's team's in charge of reviewing these and renewing them as needed. Those comment section there is the current status of where they're at. But that is pretty much the lion's share of where we churn most of our work out is across those panels. There's plenty of other panels across council, design, survey, that we use, but they're not managed by our branch. So, winning work, I think as I mentioned earlier, guys, the important thing for us is getting to know you, ensuring that you get to know us, and just getting feedback from you guys about how we can improve in project delivery. But the methodology on submissions, we really need to focus on that. The 1 or 2 liners just don't cut it now. So we really need be project specific if you can, if putting any quotes in or tenders. Track record, I think it's be no surprises there that at the end of all contracts we do monitor performance. So definitely we keep track of that. Safety's I'll touch on in a minute, but it's definitely one of our front and foremost drivers. Even in the tender and procuring stage, we've developed a spec. You may have seen it circulated already, or you should have, and it's targeted to sort of a one-pager, and it really tells you where our focus is in the safety space. The community is important, guys. They're our number 1 client. So it is important to factor that into any submissions. We encourage you to, if there's a school or residential houses or any of those things there, pedestrians, how are you going to manage it? Have you thought about the noise, the dust, the car parking for the AFL stadium? How are you going to manage all those things? It really goes and sends a good message when we're evaluating tenders. Local businesses, so we like to support local businesses. We encourage out-of-region businesses to price, but it's important to know in detail just how much local resource, labour hire, etc., suppliers. It's important to note that for you guys coming from Brisbane or whatever, just will you utilise that local staffing, etc., and supply base here. But just finishing off there, that long-term relationship, that's what we're about, guys. We really want to foster and develop those relationships over time. So, moving on to safety, and I'll finish with this, is we've been on a journey for a good 12 months now in project delivery. We've we felt we just needed to really drive this area hard. As I said, it's now part of our performance KPI target. And a couple of things there. Mark touched on it earlier, but the undergrounding of service strikes, the number of strikes we're encountering, both internal and external, across our projects. I think that the trend data wasn't where it needed to be, in our opinion. So we've really put out these safety alerts. We've focused. We've pulled all the guys in. There's definitely a focus on that at the moment, right down through to our subcontractors and their subcontractors. The sun safety has been another one. Council for years, in parks and gardens, and many of our delivery groups out there and operational groups. Shorts has been the norm, hot climate, shorts has been okay. We've been on the wide brims and the long sleeve for a while now, but we've brought in long pants as mandatory and full coverage. So that was a journey and a changer for a lot in the organisation, but we've certainly passed that down, and that would be an example of what's in that spec that we share out with quotes. No subcontractors on site without long sleeves or long pants, for example. So that chart there on the left, guys, that's the number of audits, and you can see just going back 2-3 years, just where that trend has come. We're hitting really high numbers there now. All of our project managers really proactive in that space, our inspectors, and it's been received really well from the sites, from the contractors. Initially, that chart on the right, we did see an increase in actions, as you'd expect, and I think it wasn't anything to be alarmed at. I think it was just now that we're aware and we're able to document these things with the new tool of Scintillate we've got going to capture these audits. But yeah, as I said, Pete and I are there to come and see us after. We welcome you over. We'll take you through the projects, what we've got going on for this financial year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. I'd like to ask Mandy Day to come up now. Mandy's from our business development team. She's going to have a chat with you about what opportunities are existing for assisting your business to develop as we move forward. And welcome, Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm one of 2 business development facilitators employed within Council's Economic Development Branch to deliver local business support through our business development program. Amanda Goody is the other, and she's also here this morning, so please be sure to pop by our stand and say hi. Before I begin, I just want to put any note takers at ease, because if you are registered for the event, we will have a PowerPoint presentation emailed to you, so you have all this information on hand, including all the links. This morning I would like to begin by providing you with a quick overview of Council's Economic Development Branch. I meet with businesses on a daily basis, and in 99.9% of the meetings I conduct, I would say, I find that business owners are unaware of who sits within economic development, what we do, and how they can connect to our activities. So, in short, Council's Economic Development Branch's activities are governed by our Regional Economic Development Strategy, or the REDS as it's commonly referred to. It's a document that you can access on our website if you choose to, and there are 3 teams that are responsible for the implementation of the REDS action plan that sit within this branch. So we have the Trade and Investment team, and they're charged with creating employment opportunities for Sunshine Coast residents. They're out there promoting the region's amazing business capabilities, nationally and internationally, and they're looking to drive business investment. They're also promoting local business expansion, and they have a really great export program that you can tap into. We also have the Tourism and Major Events team. They're responsible for bringing around 60 major events to the Sunshine Coast each year in non-peak periods, and that's in order to stimulate our economy. So, be aware of the major events that are coming, prepare your businesses accordingly. There may be sponsorship or volunteering opportunities that you could be connecting your business to. And lastly, but not leastly, we have the amazing Industry Advancement team who are engaged in some incredible activities in support of industry and business development. This team has done an incredible job building task forces, attracting local, national and global investment, and creating jobs across the broader economy, including the 7 high-value industries referenced in the REDS. And the business development team, or Amanda and I, sit within this team, which keeps us closely connected to their activities and opportunities across a wide range of industry sectors. That means there are plenty of opportunities we are aware of that we can be connecting you to. Now, there are 2 main reasons that I share this information with you. Firstly, As you go about the day-to-day running of your business, I want you to feel confident that Council's economic development team are strategically focused on the continual development of the economy around you. And more importantly, I want you to know that you're not alone. Small business in particular can be very isolating, and I urge you to reach out and connect. In all of our day-to-day activities, we've become very connected. So when you connect with us, you're connecting yourself to amazing networks, programs and activities that you wouldn't ordinarily be aware of that might help you to develop your capabilities and take your business to the next level. Because over the years, I've listened to many Sunshine Coast business success stories, and the common theme is a real appreciation for all the assistance that they have received from their local business community. These businesses put their hands up and sought out support from council, from chambers of commerce, from industry groups. They sought funding opportunities. They started out in incubators like the Innovation Centre, and they got involved in programs that helped them increase their capabilities and further develop their business. So I would like to challenge you. How many of you are putting your hand up and seeking support? And by show of hands, are there any businesses that have sought assistance through council's business development program? We've got a couple. But if you haven't, then this next slide is for you. This outlines the support we extend to businesses through Council's business development program, which extends right down to offering tailored one-on-one support meetings. These meetings are an opportunity for you to introduce your business to Council and the economic development team. We can meet at our office, or I can come and meet on site with you, and they allow us to better understand your business and your goals so we can tailor support specifically to your needs. It might include connections to economic development team and activities, connections to Council's other services, programs, resources, people and procurement opportunities. We could be connecting you to internal and external training programs depending on how you may need to develop your and your team's capabilities. Connections to support networks and events, including chambers of commerce and industry networks. If we can identify who your target is, then we can help you best identify opportunities. It's about working smarter, not harder. We also have a host of amazing business tools and resources that you're very unlikely to know exist. For example, we can extend free economic data, business plans, finance plans, marketing plans, capability statement templates, just to name a few. And we also extend assistance with mitigating construction disruption and assistance with emergency event preparedness and recovery. So you can download our guides from Council's website, which have some really great checklists to help prepare you and your businesses. So you might ask, why do we, as far as councils go above and beyond to support our local business community? Well, we truly value your contribution to our economy, and Council is dedicated to assisting all of you to successfully plan, manage and grow your businesses. So with this in mind, there are a couple of specific opportunities I've selected that I hope you might find of value. If you wish to learn more about Council's procurement requirements, Council extends doing business with Council workshops, and you can educate yourself in a workshop environment or online anytime. The next workshop is scheduled on August 22. If you'd like your business to become more successful when submitting tenders for large-scale projects, or you want to work toward ISO and other accreditations, you will need to show that you have comprehensive and well-documented business management systems in place. If you need assistance with this, then Council's one-day business management systems workshops will provide you with that step-by-step guide on how to develop and improve your business processes to ensure good governance for safety, environment and quality assurance. And as a byproduct, you will also identify inefficiencies that may be hindering the growth of your business. So bring your laptop, take the day out and join us on August 28 here at Venue 114. We'll have an expert mentor on hand to guide you with every template known to man. I have a nice room with a view booked upstairs, and we'll even throw in lunch. Then, once you have all your documentation in place, it's all about assisting you with keeping informed of opportunities. So we encourage you to link to Council's Tender Alert Service, register with Q Tenders, seek out information regarding Council's supplier arrangements. The Council's closed tenders and awarded contracts page on our website offers some very useful publicly available information to help you build your database around who has been awarded contracts. So it might also direct you around who to host at your next VIP functions. And it also informs you of when current supplier arrangements are set to expire, so you can plan and pre-prepare your tender documentation. But Paul will walk you through all of that in more depth shortly. Another way to connect your business to procurement opportunity exists with the ICN Gateway. The Sunshine Coast Business Gateway is designed to connect local business to local projects and procurement opportunities. We as Council encourage developers looking to develop their local supply chains to list their project needs on the Gateway and seek out the businesses profiled. So we encourage you to create and maintain your profile so you can connect to these opportunities. Again, it's all about working smarter, not harder. There are always plenty of events crossing our desks that we can connect you to, but there are few business owners that I meet that don't cite marketing and social media as a pain point. So if this sounds like you, Facebook is bringing a series of events to the Sunshine Coast so you can learn from the industry experts. I imagine these will be very popular, so I would register right away. There are some leaflets at our table that you can take with you. In addition to this, Council also has a Level Up program. This is an award-winning program which offers 12 webinars developed to help Sunshine Coast businesses needing to digitally upskill. It has some fantastic content that you can work through at your own pace, so it's an opt-in, opt-out. And for those that have resolved to make 2019-2020 a growth year, but you could do with some business mentoring support, there are two great opportunities that we can connect you to, including the Sunshine Coast Chamber Alliance Mentoring Group. This is low-cost, one-on-one mentoring tailored to individual needs that will cover businesses of any size and industry looking for long-term support. So you get two mentors and they will help guide you. There is also the TAFE Build a Better Business program. This offers participants a Certificate 4 in Small Business Management. You walk away with a business action plan, a finance plan and a marketing plan. So if anyone is looking to increase their business acumen in a short period of time, or if you just need mentoring guidance with planning for 2019-2020, this might be the one for you. You can knock it over in a 4-week workshop-style arrangement, or if you need a flexible study arrangement, you can even have a TAFE mentor come to you. So, I hope this has provided you with a little food for thought. And in close, I really want to reiterate that you are not alone. I hope I've conveyed how passionate the Economic Development team is about serving our business community. So if there is anyone out there that is experiencing difficulty or looking for new opportunities to grow and develop their business, I really hope that you will connect. You can do so by subscribing to our Business News e-newsletter, so this is it here, or via email, here. Or simply come visit us at the stand after the presentation and introduce yourself. So I thank you so much for your time. I know it's very valuable, and I wish you and your businesses a prosperous 2019-2020 financial year.
Thank you, Mandy. We haven't had external presenters before, but we've decided to take the plunge and diversify a little bit. So I'd like to invite Leon up to the stage. Leon's from the Australian Industry Trade College, my apologies, to have a short presentation on, thank you, what that organisation does and how they can assist and be involved with your businesses. Thank you.
Well, good morning all, and thank you for the opportunity to share who we are and how we can serve industry. Well, my name is Leon van Niekerk, and I'm the principal at Australian Industry Trade College. We opened last year with 50 young people together with 5 staff members, and that was as a result of a passionate local steering committee made up of industry professionals as well as our local council. They wanting to see a growth and some future for our industry here local in Sunshine Coast, and they put together a plan and invited Australian Industry Trade College to be part of that plan. It has since grown to 150 young people, together with 17 dedicated staff members, and growing every term. We are educating tomorrow's industry leaders. We are committed to working with you as local industry to create opportunities for our technically talented young people within our Sunshine Coast region. Well, we've prepared a video, and if you guys can play that for us as well, please. Thank you.
Imagine a school which offers 4,000 young people both an education and employment upon graduation. Imagine a school that's not just reforming education, but transforming the state of education in Australia. Imagine a school that doesn't just create employees for industry, but leaders for industry. This is not something we imagine at the AITC, it's our daily experience. Many have tried to reform education in Australia, but we are transforming education into a new and highly effective educational experience for both young people and employers. The AITC is one of the only schools who graduate students from grade 12 with both a senior certificate and a full-time job. In fact, over 1,800 young people have graduated from grade 12 into full-time employment in trades, traineeships, and other industries after their senior studies. It's easy to ignore these figures until we face the evidence that this is not a common experience across Queensland or even Australian schools. 50% of Australian 25-year-olds cannot find full-time work. Over 30,000 young people drop out of school every year in Australia. That's over 500 young people per week and 80 young people every day. As an independent school in Queensland, we've been able to gain support and allegiance from private enterprise who want us to expand these schools all across Queensland. We have grown from one school in 2015 with 300 young people to multiple campuses of over 700 students. Our strategic partners have a vision, and that vision is to return back to society out of their own success. It's the young people's success and achievements that becomes the tangible return on investment for that strategic partnership. Our approach to industry and investors has been to match our vision and mission for young people and employers to the vision and capacity of our strategic partners. The college has a new strategic plan to expand to 17 schools over the next 10 years, which will deliver the AITC experience and outcomes to over 4,000 young people across grade 10 to 12.
I became involved with the AITC to help make a difference to the lives of young people who have been lost and forgotten in the mainstream education system because they have no wish to follow a scholastic career path through university, but instead they want to follow a career path through industry due to their technical skill and talent. The AITC came into existence to educate these technically talented young people, to make them the leaders of our style of school, and to give them a head start by helping them get a job in their chosen career before they graduate from school. And now our vision at the AITC is to rapidly and sustainably grow the organisation so that we provide our style of industry-related education to as many young people in Australia as possible. I hope you will consider partnering with the AITC as we not only reform the education system, but transform it.
Because we sit in the shade of trees that others have planted. We are calling young people to a higher standard.
We are changing lives and seeing results.
We are calling you to invest in a future. With a difference.
We're transforming education.
We are the AITC.
Who wouldn't want to be involved in the AITC when this is the difference you can make?
Well, thank you for that, and apologies for the technical glitch there. As you can see, we are passionate working with our local, technically talented young people. And we are situated on 170 Wharton Parade, right next to Sunshine Plaza. And I personally invite you to come over, have a look at our college, come and have a cup of coffee, and discuss how we can serve industry and your business future needs for apprenticeships and traineeships. Thank you for your time.
Thank you to the presenters so far. Unfortunately, you get to listen to me for a little while now. I will take us through some of the ways that Council will actually go about the procurement process. So some of it can be a little bit mundane, but it's a process that we have to go through in order to engage a contract. So you've already heard the Council has passed its budget at the end of June or mid-June, $848 million, $320 million of capital. A portion of that now covers the airport, which is under construction, some of our other major projects, such as the development at Maroochydore, Sun Central. But on top of that, the presenters that you've seen today are actually in control of coordinating the procurement of a significant portion of that, and that is the work that we need performed by our partners, both in the area and externally. For last year, we spent the 244 of a little bit over 300 million with locals. That means that the money is going from Council directly to a company that exists or is established on the Sunshine Coast. We would like to continue working with everyone to increase that figure. It's reasonably high in comparison to other councils, but for me it will never be enough, and we'll be vigilantly attempting to partner with you where we can in order to increase that figure, but also asking you to take the opportunities that you've seen, particularly from the presentations that Mandy made, in order to improve your business, not to say your business can't deliver that piece of work now, but to consider broadening what your business does so that we need to go outside less. How do we go about a procurement? This is the mundane part of things. We have, as a local government area, a responsibility to have a procurement policy that will outline how we will go about forming contracts for particular pieces of work. So we have, starting at the bottom of the page, unfortunately, we have a series of pricing thresholds where we will, if we believe the contract will be of a value between that, conduct the procurement in a particular way. So between $25,000 and $250,000, we will, that won't be 3 quotes, that will be invite 3 quotes. 1 quote is at the top from, my slide is, I'm reading it upside down, 0 to 25,000 we'll invite 1 quote. 25,000 up to 250,000 we would invite 3 quotes. That is us making a decision internally on who's capable within the area generally. Very rarely for a contract below $250,000 do we consider going outside of the local government area. What that then occurs is that those that we have invited will receive documentation upon which you basically put your bid. We have an open date, a close date, and at the time of closing or after the time of closing, we'll open the submissions, make an assessment of them, and make an award of a contract to one, or in some cases more, depending on the variety of the work that's being done. If the work is going to be of a higher value than that, then we will look at other options. one of them is the tender. So from 250 to up to $1 million, we will either conduct a tender or consider inviting 5 quotes. And at the moment, for any work above more than $1 million, we do nothing else but an open tender. Now, that open tender will allow anyone to respond to it, which is meaning some of the work is bid from outside of the area. We are happy to receive those bids, but again would always be interested in partnering with someone internally to the local government area where we can. There's a series of documents that will come out with a tender. We need you to be able to price the work, so we have to tell you what it is that we want. Then we will make an assessment of what it is that you give back to us, including your price. We don't hide the evaluation criteria. The evaluation criteria we use, they're the generic ones there. If there's something that doesn't apply because of the type of work that it is, we would exclude it. But those 5 there will almost staply be the evaluation criteria that we will rely upon. Price, obviously, capability and experience. One of the areas where some people fall down in the submissions is telling us the capability and experience, which is a job they've done well, which is fine, but it doesn't align with the piece of work that we're asking you to now do. It would make easy evaluation, and it is easy to find the positives in work if the piece of work you're bidding for and the examples that you're giving us in your capability and experience align. Similarly with methodology, as Ben alluded to before, we have in the past received submissions that have just said, basically, I'll have a look at it for you if I get the work. That won't get you very many marks, and that will contribute to an outcome that quite often won't be the best. So we're asking you, with the documents that we give you, to consider how it is that you would go about delivering the piece of work that we're inviting you to price. Contribution to the local economy is actually also an area that our locals have traditionally performed the poorest, in that we would open up a submission and it says, I'm a local, full stop. We would ask you to articulate where you are a local, where you've existed, how many people you've employed, your supply chain, so that we can gain comfort that not only is the work going to a postcode that is a local, but also that there's the opportunity for your supply chain, which is also then our supply chain, to enjoy the ongoing supply chain value that comes from council entering into a single contract. We also have a commitment to our social benefit and Indigenous engagement, and we will on occasions select which one of those 2 we will pursue in particular procurements, having regard to what the type of work is. Tender and quote form, I've taken you through that before. That's basically where it's won and lost. Our initial evaluation is opening up a tender box that has the information about your business written on it. The better that is presented to us with more detail without being voluminous where it doesn't need to be, so being succinct, clear and precise is a way that we can gain the comfort and award the marks that result in the highest place respondent being evaluated as the successful tenderer. Another point there at the bottom there, directing us to other documents is a challenge unless we've asked you to. Evaluating these things, if we've got, particularly for tenders where we will have sometimes 50, 60, we've had 160 responses to a particular tender. It was a supplier arrangement actually, and if we have to navigate our way from here to there to this document to attempt to evaluate what you're saying is part of your response, it is very challenging. So we would ask you to, by all means, attach the document, but use it as supporting information, not as the primary information for determining how well you have made a submission. The other guidelines that we have, I've touched on them, are local preference, central to council, Indigenous, I've mentioned before, the social benefit guideline. These are all available if you are interested in wanting to know how you can better articulate a response. The guidelines are on our website, which I'll give you some direction to shortly. We've introduced a new innovation market-led proposal guideline that is inviting opportunities that allows you to articulate an innovation within your business or within your delivery that could be beneficial to council. It also provides an opportunity for us to be able to operate in what we call a smaller sandpit, where if there is an innovation that looks like it might be all right, we don't have to sell the family jewels in order to commit to it. We can partner in a smaller environment to help you test out and allow you to demonstrate that an innovation that you have within your business for the delivery of services can be raised up to a level of servicing a council the size that this one is. We get the thing that the procurement team gets the most number of inquiries about is our supply arrangements. We maintain 28, I think it is at the moment. I've got the number coming up shortly. But they don't cover everything. We create supplier arrangements in order to do some of our procurement a little quicker. And the way that we do that is by having a tender where we'll form what is effectively a short list of those providing particular services. We'll then go to that short list when we have a piece of work. So it's one large tender to then do a number of smaller quotes from it where we don't have to engage in asking you your capability and experience every time. We can issue a tender or a request for quote from it where we say, you are shortlisted, now tell us how you would deliver this piece of work within the confines of what that supplier arrangement was created for. So we've got 13 that relate to goods and services, 10 that relate to construction or similar, and then 5 that relate to our fleece, equipment leasing, etc. That is all that we have them for. We'll be refreshing some and creating replacements for some in the near future, but we don't have any on the books for creating a new supply arrangement that's covering a new piece of work at this point in time. We only create those by tender, so there's no getting onto this short list without competing in the first instance, excuse me, with a competitive tender process. We'll generally keep them in existence for 2 years and then during the latter stages of that 2 years create the opportunity to do another tender to replace it. We've also introduced the ability to be able to refresh the arrangement in the event that part of it or a number of suppliers are performing well, but we've either had people drop off or a change in the market or the industry that suggests that the core of it is working well, but we might need a few extras added onto it. In the past, we weren't able to do that, and we'd have to do another tender again. So our local procurement, I've covered that. As you can see from the lower value at the top there, we will almost invariably seek to go to locals only. As it goes further down, and particularly by the time we get to written tenders, we don't have a choice about whether we can invite locals because a written tender allows anyone to respond, but then we deal with our local preference by the policy and including a local content element of the response form. Anything above $5 million we are off to the elected council for in order to get a significant contracting plan, and if we're spending in excess of $5 million on a contract, it will almost invariably be through an open tender. We've spoken a lot about building relationships. Traditionally, councils haven't been, in my view, good at those things, so we have in the past said, no, we can't talk to you. I'm more than comfortable in saying we can talk to you. We can talk to anyone about anything up until the point of us releasing a request for quote or a tender. We'll enter a probity environment at that point that local governments and all levels of government will operate in. That's not to say that the talking then stops. If you have questions about something, then you by all means make contact and fire them away to us. It could be a valuable piece of information. But during the course of an open period for a request for quote or a tender, we will invariably be wanting to share any information that we give out with everyone. That's not to say it's your information, just if you're asking a question about a particular tender that we're conducting, then we will be seeking to make sure that all tenderers are kept equally placed by having all of the information available to them. We'll tell you that if you ask us a question and we think that that question contains a little bit of, for example, IP that you might hold, then we'll give you the opportunity of asking the question knowing that the response will go to everyone, or withdrawing your question. But in any case, it is about those relationships. So I spend, as do the procurement team, talking with those who respond to our tenders on a daily basis. That's the probity environment that I was referring to before, and it is a commitment from Council, it's a requirement in fact, that we will treat everyone equally. We can't talk to everyone all the time, but we will do our best in order, particularly leading up to the release of tenders, to keep everyone informed. We will enter that in probity environment from the time that it's released up until the time that the contract's awarded, and then we'll enter our feedback period if anyone's interested in feedback. We're more than happy to give feedback, put it together. We'll generally do it in writing first of all and then have a meet after that if need be. The feedback is a very good way for us to exchange ways that things can be done better, and we're quite happy to take, and it does happen on occasion, take some bad news on the chin about the way we might have released something, not having the detail that we should or having too much detail in some instances. But talking about those things and forming those relationships for us is going to be, I believe, the best way that we can provide all of the goods and services that we need to in delivering it for the community. Mandy covered some of these before. Oh no, sorry, I've got the list. These are the extra one-off procurements that we will be doing in the near future, resulting from contracts that are coming to an end. Rather than have one speaker at a time come up, we've put them into a large bundle. So there is the four that are currently advertised. There is a number coming that are replacement contracts or supply arrangement upgrades or replacements, and this is just for the coming 12 months. When we get to our next supplier briefing, which is generally January, February of next year, we'll tell you what's for the remainder of the year. The other opportunities, Mandy mentioned before, the tender alert service. That's the platform that we use is Q-Tender, so it's the state governments. Most of you, I'm hoping, are registered for that. The tender alert service, the top one is Council's tender alert service. I hope you're registered for that. The platform that we use is the second one down, which is Q-Tenders. Being registered for that will do a couple of things. It will get you an email on a weekly, sometimes daily basis of all of the work being put to market for the entirety of the state. You can control you don't get every piece, you can control the email to be sent to you with work relevant to the profession that you're in. The Business Gateway is the next opportunity. The Black Business Finder, which is a great supporter and great engager with our Indigenous engagement guideline, and then Local Buy as well. Local Buy is it's Peak Services, it's called also. Local Buy is an organisation that operates from the Local Government Association of Queensland, and they provide supplier arrangements for use throughout the state. So the opportunity that comes from that is to get onto a supplier arrangement for Local Buy, knowing that any council within Queensland could then ask you to respond to a piece of work. Two more opportunities that have been mentioned, but I'll give you a little bit more detail. They're from the procurement team, is doing business with council workshops. What happens at those workshops is we get out the documents, put them in front of you, and work through how a response can be put together. We can't tell you what your response should be, because only you know that from the business that you operate, but we can identify some of the strengths and weaknesses that have come from past tenders and even your tender if you're prepared to discuss it, so that we can work out ways that you could become stronger in responding to council work, so that's bidding for tenders or requests for quote, as well as assisting you then if it's useful for other levels of government or other councils. We also have it online in the video there, so you could go to that any time that you like and have a review and then consider whether you want to come to the face-to-face sessions. Thank you. I would normally take some questions now. If anyone wants to ask some questions, I'm happy to take the procurement questions, or we can break and everyone can have a chat with anyone at the stalls that they have here. No procurement questions? No, it's a fairly bland old topic. Okay, yes, one. Yes, we do, where we can, but we won't put out a tender that just says, tell her we want this. It will be, we want this with a specification. That specification will have been considered by the team that's putting it together for what they need. They should have a knowledge and understanding, and will do, of what it is that they're after. So the simple answer to the question is yes, prioritised where we can. There are occasions when we can't. Thank you. Yep.
Where you've got a preferred contractor panel set up,
yep.
Do they get waiting, additional waiting when tender goes out, an open tender goes out?
The answer to that's no. The reason for that is that probity environment that I talked about before is about creating an equality. If we were to put out a tender where half of the respondents or a number were on the preferred supplier arrangement, they've already been shortlisted for that discipline, but we've gone out to the market where everyone else is replying with everything, it becomes very hard to retain that. So what we do is we either create the RFQ and do it through the panel, in which case everyone who's on the panel is treated equally because they've already been shortlisted, or we do an open tender where those on the panel are welcome to apply for that tender, but it's from the equal footing of tell us from zero what it is that you're responding to. It keeps that environment fair where we're not having you almost shortlisted or shortlisted and someone responding who's not. That's about making a decision which procurement route we're going to take in order to form the contract. But if you're on it, then you are equal to the competitors who are on it with you. Okay, thank you very much for coming. We hope you've got some valuable information for it. We'll be seeking some feedback shortly about what we can do better for these things, and I'd very much value you taking the time to give us that feedback. Hopefully then we can improve them and keep moving forward. Thank you very much.